Hello, my friends. My name is Airyus, and I play games. Now, in our last episode, we left off at a court hearing held on February 27th, 2004 to respond to Altman's claims for punitive damages, where the courts sided with Weaver. Yay! But there's one problem. During this hearing, the court honored an argument made by Altman and Zenimax that Weaver breached his fiduciary duty and also abused the judicial process by obtaining evidence illegally. Yeah, man, just because Weaver used his master key to get the evidence he needed to sue Zenimax, the courts are now implying that Weaver is the one who's the criminal. Why? Because he went to get evidence the only way he could? Bro. In any case, that motion was held until the evidentiary hearing took place on April 1st, 2004, and again on May 5, 2004. Strap in, folks. It's time for the ride to get wild. This is where evidence is reviewed by both sides, and the court decides who wins. So it starts with all the Zenimax lawyers working for Altman as they call Weaver to the stand to testify. Now, during his testimony, Weaver states that in 2001, he had become suspicious that Altman and other corporate executives were planning to get rid of him from the company or limit his control. As such, he entered Lesher's office at night without permission to look through board meeting minutes that had information regarding Weaver's right to teach at the university while employed with Zenimax. By doing so, he also discovered that the other executives, including Altman, had much more generous terms than he did. So Weaver made copies of the contracts to take as evidence. He also made copies of emails he secured from Talent's office, stating that he did not log into her email account, but the computer was already on, and he noticed that on the screen there was an open email regarding his teaching responsibilities and his right to paid time off. Weaver testified that he had often entered without prior permission other executives' offices when they weren't present. He stated that he frequently entered Altman's office to obtain drinks from Altman's refrigerator. Dude, Weaver was a drink thief? He stated that he had entered Lesher's office to review corporate documents, including board meeting minutes. He had often entered those offices as necessary to obtain or drop off the papers. Nevertheless, Weaver acknowledged that he conducted his investigations at night and on weekends to hide his activities from Zenimax. So yeah, not the most honest way to obtain the evidence. I mean, definitely took some pages out of the Thieves Guild or maybe even the Dark Brotherhood. But did Weaver really have a choice? What do you think, my friends? Let me know in the comments below. So eventually, Weaver conceded that shortly after he began his investigations, he hired his lawyers to prepare for his deposition, where he can review the various documents he had obtained. He had planned to reveal them to his counsel after Altman was taken care of. He stated that he expected Altman to lie in his deposition and that the documents could be used as evidence of Altman's false testimony. He then said that he had always intended to reveal the documents and produce them to Zenimax eventually. Now, with this information being revealed in the evidentiary hearing, Weaver's attorney, Ronald Early, was called to the stand to testify. Zenimax basically drills him about what he knew and when he was made aware of the information about Weaver's ill-gotten evidence. Early expressed attorney-client privileges in the matter, but he also went on to say that he found out about Weaver's evidence only during the trial, when everyone else did. So bottom line, during these hearings, the court ends up siding with Zenimax. Why the hell would they do that? Well, here's why. The court finds that Chris Weaver engaged in a systematic, calculated, and many month-long scheme to obtain an advantage in a litigation that he planned to file and pursue. And since Weaver admitted to obtaining the documents illegally to use them in a strategic litigation advantage, the court used that information against Weaver, stating that Weaver knew His conduct was wrongful, but proceeded anyway. So what's the verdict? Since Weaver obtained his evidence illegally, the courts dismissed the charges brought forth by Weaver, leaving Altman with a company that Weaver himself started, and Weaver with absolutely nothing. Crazy, right? But what happens next is gonna blow your mind. So tune in again next week for the next episode where Zenimax countersues Weaver. Stay rad, my friends. Cheers.